This video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. What if I told you that there's a dojutsu that exists that is stronger than both the Sharingan and the Byakugan, and yet it only has two known users? An eye with the ability to cast Genjutsu like the Sharingan, but with a nice little kick of also being able to control blood. And yes, when I say Sharingan, I'm talking about MSs, not all MSs, specific ones, like Shisui's, you know, the useless ones. I can hear the Shisui stands already. Obito has a Genjutsu ability so strong that it puts people under Genjutsu and they don't even know. He did it to Yagura, but he doesn't have a 10-year cooldown. If anybody with a Byakugan looks at somebody that you put under Kodo Matsukame, they can see that their chakra network has been disrupted. That's how they got Mifune out. And, oh yeah, 10-year cooldown. It is the worst Sharingan ability ever. So yeah, you better believe I would want the dojutsu we're talking about today over that. Because the dojutsu we're talking about today is the Ketsurigan, a red eye that belongs to a clan that got wiped out, and it's not the Sharingan, but it can cast Genjutsu. But before we get into breaking down what the Ketsurigan is, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you want to hear the story about how I got a tattoo I don't understand, go ahead and hit that join button for 3 extra videos a month. But before we get into all that, guys, today we have our favorite reoccurring sponsor sponsoring this video. It's Raid Shadow Legends. I know what you're thinking, these guys are taking over Nick's ad space, but that's not the only thing they're taking over. They're taking over gaming as well. They're the only people bringing a true console level experience to your phone. And once you get used to this level of play, there's no looking back. I mean, there's so much to see. There's millions of champion combinations giving you limitless tactics that you can use in raid bosses, dungeon runs, and PvP arenas. But I've been playing a little bit recently, and I've got a couple champions I want to recommend to you. My first recommendation is Sethalia. Sethalia is a jack of all trades, useful in every situation, but especially in my favorite area, PvP. She can manipulate the turn meter to get extra hits in, and her secondary ability is a huge heal, able to bring entire teams back from the brink of defeat. And her third ability strips all buffs off your enemies. My second recommendation is a bit different. Ursula the Mourner. Her second ability cripples enemy attackers while buffing her own team, and her third ability can revive your entire team from the grave, and they come back stronger. But I know what you're saying, why get into Raid now? Well, this month is their 3-year anniversary, and celebrations are going to be huge. But while we're waiting for the celebrations to kick off, Raid has dropped the first ever champion skins. These skins allow you to alter your champion's appearance to something that suits your style. So this is the best time to get into Raid. So if you click the link in my description or scan the QR code on my page, you'll get a free sign-up bonus worth $40. We're talking 3 champions at once: Misery Core, Tiger Soul, Romero, plus 10 XP Magic Brews, 10 Force XP brews, and 10 Spirit brews. All this treasure will be waiting for you here. And it's that simple. Just click the link in my description and I'll see you in game. So the Ketsurigan, what is it? What are its abilities? Who has it, and how did it awaken? All questions we'll hope to address throughout this video. Let's open with, what is it? It's a dojutsu, or an eye ability, just like a Byakugan, a Rinnegan, or a Sharingan, but it only exists in the Chinoke clan. And before we get to talking about this dojutsu's abilities, I want to talk about the Chinoke clan, give you an idea of their history and how they awoke the Ketsurigan. I'm not going to do a full dive into the history because I will be doing a clan explained video about them at some point in the future, but essentially what you need to know is they were a clan active during the Warring States period. You know, the period when the Senju and the Uchiha were fighting for supremacy of the Land of Fire. Well, yeah, and this time the Senju and the Uchiha weren't the only clans alive. The Chinoke clan existed in what was to become the Land of Hot Water, which shares a northeastern border with Konoha, as in the northeastern part of Konoha shares its border with the Land of Hot Water. This is also, fun fact, where Hidan is from, and that'll actually come into play a little bit later. So during the Warring States period, the Chinoke clan was a mercenary clan that would fight for the highest bidder. But at one point, the Land of Lightning's daimyo took a fancy to a member of the Chinoke clan, and the Land of Lightning daimyo and her got married. Only problem is, the Land of Lightning daimyo had a first wife who didn't like that he had moved on. So when the Land of Lightning daimyo dies shortly after the wedding because he was old, she blames the death on the Chinoke clan woman. And the problem is, a lot of people believe her. So the clan gets banished from the Land of Hot Water. Only problem is, this clan is powerful. It's not going to be easy to exorcise them from this land. So the Land of Lightning did a thing that a lot of people did during the Warring States period, and they hired the uchiha to do it. And the Chinoke clan didn't hire the Senju because they themselves were a mercenary clan and therefore got exorcised from their homeland. They were forced to settle in a place called the Valley of Hell, a valley obviously where iron-rich hot water sat at a near boiling point. The steam made by this water made sure that no animals or plant life survived in this valley. But the thing is, this water would actually become the source of the Chinoke clan's power. In order to stay alive, the Chinoke clan had to find a way to make this water safe to drink. So as time progressed, they gained the ability to control iron in water. More specifically, they found out how to control high iron density liquids, like the water they were drinking. And that was through the use of the Dojutsu they already had that allowed them to cast Genjutsu, the Ketsurigan. So their Dojutsu had essentially gained another ability. So they, unlike any other form of life, were very much able to survive in the Valley of Hell, which is actually the opposite of what the Village of Hot Water thought they were doing. They thought they all died in there, because when they went to go check on them a couple months after exiling them to the Valley of Hell, they saw a huge puddle of red liquid. Now, this red liquid was just iron-rich water, but the shinobi that were sent there to check up on them thought it was blood. And when they saw members of the Chinoke clan drinking this liquid, they assumed that they had killed each other off and became savages. So they said the Valley of Hell is off limits. Nobody is ever to go there. And eventually they forgot about the Chinoke clan. And for generations, like 3 of the 4 Shinobi Great World Wars, the Chinoke clan got to live in peace. But eventually, the peace stopped. And it wasn't because of an outside force. Eventually, small disagreements became big disagreements. And in one night, the clan killed itself off, leaving only 2 survivors, En Oyashiro and his daughter, Chino. Being the only survivors, they left the valley, and the valley was later rediscovered by Hidan out on a scouting mission where he reported everybody from the Chinoke clan is gone, leading the Land of Hot Water to believe that they had all died. So now that you know a little bit about their history, let's talk about their abilities. I've touched on it briefly already. The Ketsurigan can cast Genjutsu and control iron-rich liquids. But what does that mean? The Ketsurigan can cast Genjutsu, just like the Sharingan, but also a bit different. If you make eye contact with somebody with the Ketsurigan active, you will fall under the Genjutsu, just like a Sharingan, but there's also something else they can do. Simply by making physical contact with their target, they can cast them into Genjutsu. This is not the case for the Sharingan. Eye contact is an absolute necessity. Imagine fighting against Itachi, and sure, you've closed your eyes, but all he has to do is touch you, and then you're in Tsukiyomi. And I know what you're saying.
Well, this sounds too easy. The Genjutsu's probably not that strong.
Nope, just as strong as the Sharingan. On top of that, when they get you in their Genjutsu and hypnotize you, they can dive deep into your brain for information. It's an incredibly effective interrogation technique. And ironically, because it's one that Danzo probably doesn't know about, it would probably be able to work around Anbu brainwashing. But that's a stretch, I don't know. But if having this insane Genjutsu ability isn't enough for you, there's also the iron manipulation. You remember how waterbenders and Avatar can bloodbend during a full moon? Yeah, members of the Chinoke clan can do that whenever. And I know.
There's bloodbenders in Korra that can do it whenever too.
I'm not talking about those, and not a lot of people have seen Korra. But yeah, essentially it works exactly like that. Any iron-rich liquid can be controlled by the Ketsurigan, but there is limits. You can't just yank the blood out of somebody, but you can yank the blood out of yourself, and there's a reason for that. Any liquid you control, A, has to be high in iron content, but B, has to be imbued with your chakra. So even though other people's blood is very high in iron, your chakra isn't necessarily pumping through said blood. But this is where the Genjutsu comes into play. A Genjutsu, almost 100% of the time, will not kill the person you've casted it onto. A Genjutsu is more about getting somebody to stand in a place for a little while. So let's say hypothetically, you cast this Genjutsu onto somebody else, you get them to stay still using your Ketsurigan by either touching them or making eye contact. It's at this point that you can walk up to them and pump your chakra into their circulatory system, much in the same way that the Hyuga clan members inject chakra into Tenketsu points to either boost their ability or shut them down. Inserting your chakra into somebody else's body is not difficult. And once you have your chakra in their system, you can control their blood. So at this point, you could pull their blood out of their orifices and make them look like they just got hit by scorch release and become a mummy. Or you can control high iron liquid that you've already imbued your chakra into, like the water from the Valley of Hell. Or you can use your own blood to act a bit like the Kaguya clan's Kekkei Genkai. Kaguya clan being Kimimaru's clan, who had a Kekkei Genkai that allowed them them to control bones, using them to protrude for defensive mechanisms or to protrude for offensive mechanisms. Kimimaaru's clan only had one person in a generation with their Kekkei Genkai, and it was so powerful they were all afraid of that one person. But the Chinoke, every single one of them had the Ketsurigan, which means every single one of them could at the very least create shields with their blood, daggers with their blood, anything you can imagine. And I know what you're saying, this just sounds like high-level water release, but it's different. Because let's say hypothetically, I do block your sword with my blood. That's great. But what happens if I slice you? I've just cut you with my blood that has my chakra in it. My blood that is now mixed with your blood. And sure, you can say that's not a lot of chakra in that one cut. What happens if I get a couple? What happens if I make blood senbon and shoot them at you? Just like that, without the use of Genjutsu, I could control your blood. But here's the thing, the Chinoke clan, just like the rest of the Land of Hot Water, are pacifists. They simply wanted to survive in peace without being disrupted by the uchihas or anybody else, which means that the vast majority of its members did not have mastery over this ability. Which is why Uyashiro, Chino's father, was able to kill every single one of them, just like Itachi, over a disagreement. And whether or not the disagreement was as trivial as who won in bingo or as grand as the coup in the Uchihas, we don't know. But with complete mastery over the Ketsurigan, he was able to wipe out his entire clan except for his daughter. And honestly, it's a good thing they were pacifists, because if they had mobilized aggressively against other clans, they would have been one of the strongest out there. Yes, the Uchiha ran them down in the warring states, but that was the height of Uchiha power. And that's kind of all we know about the Ketsurigan. We know more about the Chinoke clan and the Land of Hot Water and how it has to deal with Hidan, but I'll cover that in a separate video. Just know that Chino, a literal child, forced Sasuke to use his Sharingan in a fight against her. And this was after the war arc. This was a very strong Sasuke with a Rinnegan. And yes, Sasuke didn't struggle with her, but would he have struggled with her in the future? It's a solid possibility. And that's all I got. If you guys like this video about one of the lesser known dojutsus in Naruto, please, for me, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that noti bell. And if you're feeling particularly generous and well-informed, go ahead and hit that join button. Become a member of the Weeb Alliance over here on YouTube. Listen, I'm not saying I want this ability, but this is basically the exact ability of Mirai from Beyond the Boundary, and that's one of my favorite animes of all time, so it'd be nice to be able to relate to her.